A Court of Fairies and Fiction. Akafaf Girls Podcast. Hosts Mel Liv and Aka. A bookish theory and discussion podcast for the Akatar, Crescent City, and Tug series, as well as other romantasy books. Season 3, Episode 4, The Tale of Bloodlines and Betrayals.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Olivia and Eka are back with us again today. We are trying to get on track. You guys know that we're chaotic by now, so you're used to it. It's been like 2 years. We'll get our shit together whenever it happens.
Whenever it happens.
Whenever it happens. One of these days we will be put together. Like the adults we are supposed to be.
Oh, don't say that. I'm older than both y'all.
I don't think you are. I think
that sounds like peer pressure, man.
Peer pressure. But anyway, I am editing episode 3, and we were talking about like Azriel and all this stuff, and I think it was Olivia who was like, "Oh my god, if Azriel is a High Lord, I'm gonna freak out."
I think it was Eka.
Was it?
Yeah, that was
okay.
Me.
So
It's true though.
Yeah. So I was thinking about how the Dust Court is like the prison and most likely Valaris and Orid, but Orid is like in the middle of all the courts. So I was wondering if Azriel's gonna be like the High Lord of Orid while Nesta rules, Valaris and the prison island.
That would be interesting.
That would be cool.
Or just to fuck with Rhys, and because she loves Azriel. What if she makes Azriel High Lord of Valaris?
Ooh.
She would never.
Morgan would be pissed.
Oh.
I mean, hey, if you didn't reject him more, the ultimate revenge. And then I was thinking, the First Light Cores, so there's 2 First Light Cores left, technically. I still think there's one under the Gallian Mountain too, but canonically, right now, apparently there's 2 left. So there's under the mountain and under Ramiel, right? And I was thinking, if Orcus had Maeve as a wife, and she fled him, didn't want to be with him, fled eventually, what if Vesperus is Mantix's wife? And what if Orcus and Mantix are the people that are trapped under the 2 mountains? This is if Koshi is not Orcus, but
what if Maeve is Thea?
I thought about that before. I haven't finished Throne Glass, but that was definitely on my mind.
I don't know. I mean, Thea was very naive and easily tricked by Vesperus. She was like, oh, well, she said she was given to Vesperus when she was young. So, I mean, I don't think Maeve would be in a child's body, live as a child. I don't know. I can't see it. And also, Thea had the gold hair. Again, the weird gold hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And Maeve would not love children. The second she had a child with Connell, she chucked that kid into the Prithian world, let's be real. So, Thea, I mean...
She football kicked it.
I know. She's like, get the fuck away from me. So, the way that Thea still loved her daughters, I was like, all right, yeah, this ain't Maeve. Because I was thinking that at first, and then I was like, no, it's not Maeve. And then we saw Vesperus, and I was like, was Vesperus Maeve? And then I was like, no, because they literally killed her. Technically, they killed her. Because Erewhon is definitely dead. Maeve is definitely dead. Gabriel is definitely dead. I loved him.
How far are
They did
you?
find his body. They did find his body.
Yeah, they did. They found Uncle Kitty Cat.
Which I'm so mad at because it would have been so much better if he was like the grandfather of Mr. Leo the Lion guy.
I
'Cause
know.
lion shifters, come on. Like, come on. I mean, technically, if Lysandra and Adian had children, he could have been. Because Rigulus did pull the shifters from the Tog world, so that would have been really nice to know. And that would have also explained why she brought him back. Right? Right? But yeah, I was like, what if Orcus and Mantix are literally trapped under the two mountains? And what if Vesperus helped put them there? I I don't know how she's gonna write this. Like, I don't know how she's gonna fix the history between the three series. Because, like, as far as we know, like, Maeve didn't really have, like, siblings or children or any of this shit. And, like, granted, Sarah does literally retcon everything eventually. So, it's not to say she won't say something that the other world didn't know or something like that, but because I saw someone point out today the sentence where Feyre is like, Lucien looks just like Baron under the mountain. And then they were like, Sarah had no idea where she was going with this series. So I'm like, she could literally just retcon everything and just shock us, maybe. And then I had, which actually got a lot of traction on TikTok. I was not expecting it to get that much traction on TikTok, but it was just so random. I was at work and something popped into my head and I was like, holy fuck, holy fuck. And it's like the plot twist of all plot twists, right? What if, I know that we think that Koshi is like Valg or Asteri or whatever. What if Koshi is the Prince of Hell along with Thanatos on the Prithian planet waiting for the big war? And what if he's not the big bad, but Rhys is? What if he's there waiting for Rhys's power or whatever, Valg, to come out? Because what if it was like prophesized or something like this? Kind of like the Asteri in Crescent City. Like Rhys is in Prithian, right? How long did they wait to take them out? They bred Hunt. They carefully, I guess, maneuvered people so that Bryce was born. So what if they made Azriel to defeat Rhys?
Or even better, what if Koshi is a croaking prince?
Can the Krokans shapeshift? I haven't read that much about them.
No, I can't. They're more of the Fae side.
Damn. It would be, oh my God, it would be so funny if he was one of the princes because they didn't name the other three. We know that Thanatos is there. And Thanatos is in Hewn City monitoring because Rhys visits Hewn City to taunt them and to be his Valg, right? And then
That's risky behavior.
the darkness in the library because he goes and puts priestesses and shit in the library. Why is he putting priestesses in the library? Why is he trapping them in the library? Because they have healing power? Because they have invoking stones? Irene single-handedly took out Erewhon with her healing power. Like, burned him the fuck to ash. And this would also make sense as to why he hates Tamlin and why he hates Lucien. They both also have healing powers. And like granted, so does Thesan, but Thesan's very much like, I do not want to be a part of any drama. So it would actually be interesting if like, you know, the unsung hero trope where like Thesan comes in and like kind of like Elaine, because he's so like keep the peace. Because he actually very much reminds me of Ivorine. She was very much like that. She could be like strict, but she was never like, "Oh, I'm gonna cause a problem,"
I don't know if I call her strict. Sassy, yes. Strict, no.
With Kale for his healing. When he was like, "I can't do it," she's like, "You're gonna fucking do it. Roll the fuck around."
No, she was strict because she wanted other things.
That too.
She was impatient. She wasn't strict. She was impatient.
I haven't gotten to that point, but I still see people posting about like she like yanks him off a horse or something and like turns him around. And people are like, that was so demasculating.
Oh no, when they go to the oasis in the middle of the desert, that's fun.
Like in front of the class.
No.
Oh man. That's so funny. Yeah, I was just like, holy shit. Holy shit. Because like, oh my God. Can you imagine though, if she really went all the way and made Rhys the big bad?
I would be all for it. Like I support it if she goes that route.
Because they're like, oh, the monsters are bad and Koshi is bad and Tamlin is bad. And it's like, no, you're bad. You're the bad one. And the only one who fucking knew was Amren. The only one who knows is Amren, I swear. I swear. Because, like the way that the Illyrians don't even have the choice to say no to him, like slaves. Slaves. The slave marks. We said that last time. He's just so weird. He's just so weird.
But like, I know, I'm not. I feel like all the courts have people that can't say no to their High Lord, right? Like that's kind of the whole thing of like the High Lord. So I don't know if I would say the Illyrians are slaves necessarily, but I don't know.
They're his prisoners. For sure.
Yeah, and Hewn City, obviously. But Hewn City can say no. Why? Oh, because of the bargain that my ancestors struck. You didn't even know about Selene. Shut the fuck up. Like, you have no idea. That is such a lie. So your ancestor shoved all the people he deemed bad under this mountain and then hid his utopian city from the rest of your court. Like, that is such a vague ass story. I want to know who it was and how it happened. Because if it was only 5,000 years ago, it was only 5,000 years ago, not 15, 5, according to Rhys. So who was this ancestor?
Wait a minute. 5,000 years.
Yeah.
The same people in this city, secluded and isolated from the rest of the world. How many of them are inbred?
Exactly. Oh, like all of them. Hello. Cormac's like, oh, cousins used to marry cousins, and aunts used to marry nephews, and siblings used to marry siblings to keep the bloodlines pure. Morrigan. You an inbred, Morrigan.
You know, she probably is.
She probably is. And that's why she didn't want to fuck Azriel, because Azriel's her goddamn cousin too.
That's fine and all, but she needs to say so.
Literally, just say something.
Agreed.
I still think it's so
valid. It's just
I just think it's so sus that she wasn't there for Hofas. Like, oh, she's still in Valahan. Fuck off.
She was busy.
Yeah, busy in Valahan for a whole year.
She was in Valahan.
Whole year.
Yeah.
Like, I hope most of her book is not, like, reminiscent of Half of Tog, where it's like, oh, and then she traveled here, and then she traveled here, and the mountains looked like this, and the forest looked like this. I don't care. Give me something of substance. Tell me who she is, how her power works. I literally couldn't care less about her trying to get a queen to sign the treaty. I really couldn't. I don't like, unless there's new characters that's gonna come back into the fold at some point that doesn't fucking kneel before her and kiss her feet. Like, I don't, I would rather have the book be mostly about Eris, honestly. I, I don't know. I'm still expecting the double drop.
I'm curious to see how she's gonna bring those new Fey lands like into the fold, and that's a lot right there. That's a lot of extra work.
Oh, the continent.
I want to see what's on the other side of the continent. Like what's on the continent for like the Feylands. That sounds so fun.
It does
All
sound, but I'm
bad
like,
people. The bad people.
Bad
The
people.
bad misogynistic people.
I don't think so, because
The human killers, unlike the witch killers. The human killers.
I don't think so. I think there's going to be some really cool characters over there.
Probably. But she's like, oh, they won't sign the treaty because they said that, you know, the lands are yet to be divvied up after the Hybern War, and they want to take back the human lands. Because remember, they're like, oh,
towards it. Not just like, oh, they're evil. Like,
yeah.
Are they really? Because people think
I
that the Night Court's evil, and
oh, I know.
In some way, they are.
Yeah. But I mean, if everybody knows that, like, Montesir and Raskin Valhan and all that shit, like, if they know that they would have been on Hybern's side for slavery, like, probably not good people. Because she's like, they're not signing the treaty because they want the human lands back. Like, they wanna take slaves again, and they're not signing the treaty. What the fuck are we gonna do? Like, and honestly, what if, and fuck it, but what if, like, Elaine had to save Grayson?
That's crossed my mind before.
Or, like, his awful fucking father who would have killed Faye.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a morality clause right there.
Yeah.
Like, Thomas can go fucking suck a boot. I don't care. He can fucking get slaughtered. But it would just, I don't know, if, like, Grayson and Thomas, or, like, Isaac is in trouble, and they're like, fuck! What are you gonna do, Feyre? Are you gonna let more humans get killed? What are you gonna do, Feyre, High Lady?
Oh my god.
Do you still carry any guilt for Claire at all? You gonna let it happen again on a massive scale? I feel like
Sarah's forgotten about Claire.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel?
Like, she was like, oh, like Claire, like an ACOWAR. I was like, okay, and then you just don't mention her for Nesta's book. Makes sense. Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. I'm still mad about that. I'm literally still mad about that. And I kind of was like so sad when Natalie was like, yeah, but it wasn't like a big thing. But it was her only friend that was named. Like, what the fuck? Claire's the one that told her that Thomas liked her. Like, it bothers me.
No, it bothered me too. We need justice for Claire. That poor girl, she never got justice.
Her body is still rotting there.
I know. Like, oh my god.
She's just bones now. She's just a heap of bones on the floor with Lucian's eyeball. Like,
ew.
Okay, when Lucien was like, oh, I'm glad she didn't do that to me because she has a penchant for that shit. Like, putting the eyes and rings and shit. Where is his eyeball? Like, where is his eyeball?
Right there.
No, I'm scared because if no, I'm scared though because if Amarantha can do shit like that and Koshi's more powerful, Koshi can do shit like that.
Oh
And if
boy.
if he has people collecting shit like Hybern had the Adder collect Jurian's eyeball and bone, like what if they try to
Yeah.
link up with Lucien through his eyeball? Like, I don't know. Just another thing that Sarah's gonna forget about. Claire's pile of bones and Lucian's eyeball.
I
Because,
am like,
well, because okay, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but if the first light core is still under the mountain, they're gonna have to go back under the mountain, right?
I think there's something like buried, like I think there's something or someone buried under there that they
Yeah.
need to revisit.
Yeah. So they're gonna have to Tam Tam is gonna have to uncrumble that shit. Tamlin, Tamlin, move the rocks and shit that you put here. We gotta go back under. And the funny part is that they literally can't like go under there unless they ask Tamlin to undo his own magic. And he's gonna want to know why. So
Wait,
they can't get away with not telling him that there's a massive magical core under there that people could take.
did
And
it?
honestly, I hope he gets it first. I hope he gets the fuck there first.
Didn't Eris go under there though? Like after the fact?
Mm-mm. No, he just mentioned them. He's like, why do you think that, they're all carved up? And why do you think the Illyrians didn't ever look under Ramiel? But like I said before, Rhys lied to Feyre when he's like, oh, Amarantha carved up her court to look like the Court of Nightmares. No, it didn't. No, no, she didn't. Court of Nightmares is carved up to look like under Orid. The Court of Nightmares was carved up to look like under the mountain, not the other way around. Because Hewn City was carved 5,000 years ago, if that's when Valaris was built. Because that's where they shoved all the bad people. So they had to have a place to shove all the bad people.
wait, how do you figure that? No, Under the Mountain was newer than.
Mm-mm. Because it's one of the sacred mountains that was always there, that was always carved up from the Asteri 15,000 years ago for
Wait, what? How
for
do
the
we
first
know it
light
was
course.
carved up? I
Because
don't think
Eris
it
tells
was.
us, remember? He said, oh, the three sister mountains, they're all carved up underneath.
Yeah, but he didn't say timeline wise.
No, but we know from Vesperus.
Yeah.
Because she says, oh, we took those monsters from from under the mountain in the south, which is under the mountain. That was 15,000 years ago.
Was that, or is that under a mountain near Tamlin?
Yeah, that was under the mountain. That's what I'm saying, like Orid.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. So it was already carved up 15,000 years ago by the Asteri, the Daglin, because Vesperus knew about it. So then when Valaris was built 5,000 years ago, they needed a place to shove the people they deemed bad and debauched. So that's when Hewn City must have been made at the same time as Valaris. It's the only way it makes sense. And Rhys was like, oh, Under the Mountain was carved after my court, the Court of Nightmares. Like, no, the fuck it wasn't. It is the other way around. Because if Valaris is only 5,000 years old and Orid is 15,000 years old, then Hewn City is 5,000 like Valaris. Because you needed somewhere to put the bad people, which you told her. We needed somewhere to put the bad people, so we shoved them under this mountain. But then if the Court of Nightmares wasn't one of the sister mountains, then it had to have been hand carved by somebody. Right? Like, that's the only way it makes sense.
I could have sworn, maybe I'm crazy, that I read somewhere that Under the Mountain was the newest one. That it was like,
Yeah, Rhys tells Feyre.
yeah.
Yeah, Rhys tells Feyre, oh, it was carved to look like my court of nightmares.
Yeah.
But he lied. It was always carved. Amarantha didn't carve that. What is she doing? Paying people to carve out a mountain for herself? No. If Amarantha was a Daglin, then she already knew that it was already carved from 15,000 years ago. Right? Like, it makes sense. So Rhys is a big old liar, but we knew this already. Like, it's annoying. I was going through Akasif looking for a specific quote for somebody last night, and I think I was texting you guys while I did this. And I highlighted a couple things. And did you know that Eris has his own insignia? Like separate from the Autumn Court? Like his men has his own insignia. It says, this is like the Kelpie and like the Autumn Court soldiers or whatever. It says, the two soldiers were on their knees. Their light leather armor bore Eris's insignia of two baying hounds on the breast. Two hounds? Two hounds? They're the Wild Hunt hounds. I'm not letting that go. I swear. I swear they have to be. Smoke hounds? They're like spirits. They're the freaking Wild Hunt hounds. Come on. But also Eris having his own insignia separate from Baron's, because Baron's was was it like a beaver or something? It was like a bright orange flag with like a beaver or something on it. Weird. Weird. Yeah, during Aka War. It was so weird. So like Baron's is like a fucking beaver, and Eris's is like the Wild Hunt hounds. Like that's really telling who's more powerful here. Yeah, I just and then this was in the meeting with Fassa and Jurian. Fucking Cassian. He's acting like Feyre here. The conversation shifted, and he could bring it up as idle talk rather than as the reason he'd come here. ... Fuck, his head hurt. And then he asks about the other queens, and then it says, Eris's gaze shot to him, and Cassian reined in his curse. Perhaps he'd said too much. He wished more were here. Okay. So she's like your big sister / fucking fuck buddy. It's so weird. It is so weird. He wished more was here. Even if putting her and Eris in a room together, ... No, he'd savor the misery. But you have no problem putting Nesta in a room with Rhys. I see. Okay, this was the one that I texted you guys about. Do you remember? The shadow?
Maybe.
Shadow? Okay. This is after Nesta, like, points at Tamlin, has that fight with Tamlin. She goes back to the House of Wind. It's, like, nighttime. And she's leaning on the railing, like, in the middle of the House of Wind. And it says, something stirred in the darkness below. Nesta straightened. There, in the heart of the black pit, like a tendril of smoke, something moved. It seemed to expand and contract, throbbing a wild beat. And then Cassian shows up and he's like, I thought I'd find you here. Here are the stairs to the city. Which, if you're her mate, wouldn't you be able to, like, sense where she is? But okay. His voice sounded behind her and Nesta whirled. He went on alert, but Nesta glanced over a shoulder toward the darkness. Nothing. It was gone, or she'd imagined it. It's nothing, she said, as he peered over the railing. Just shadows. Like, swirling shadows? Cause Azriel was on his mission to look for the queens. He was not there. Like a sleeping shadow, maybe?
You think that was Cormac? Oh.
He couldn't have stayed where the fuck he was in Akafas forever. He's moving around in his little shadow form, just like Azrael does, I swear. Because, like, Nesta is really in tune to Azrael's and his shadows. So it would make sense that she would be in tune to Cormac and his shadows too, because they're the same. I was like, oh my God. And also, just the fact that if this is Cormac and Cormac found her and then Cassian found her, like the literary devices here are hilarious. Also, Cassian calls Tamlin a snake. Why is everyone called snake? You're a snake. Shut the fuck up. You're the snake. But yeah. And then the next chapter, the literal next page. There was no trace of that smug satisfaction now, as Cassian said to them, I thought today would be a good day to integrate the 8-pointed star, but if you're already complaining, we can wait until next week. Why was that right after the chapter with the swirling shadow? Why? It reminded me of the bonus chapter when Azrael's like, oh, he could imagine how Gwen's eyes would light up. And then literally 2 chapters later, he sees Gwen's eyes light up. So there's a swirling shadow that disappeared. And then the next chapter. Let's do the 8-pointed star tactic. Boy.
And do we know for a fact it's not Adis? Because I thought this was all Adis.
Well, this was like near like the heart, like before she like accepted the heart of the house and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it could be Koshi as well. Because
really?
Yeah, because in Koshi's chapter it starts with the being that stood atop the lake was a shadow. It must be a reflection, Cassian thought. Smoke and mirrors. And if Koshi can like astral and shit, if he's like, could be Koshi, could be Apollyon, could be Adis, could be. I really would love for it to be Cormac though. I want to know where Cormac and Azrael get their shadows from. I think that's like the biggest question.
Yeah. I think she's going to actually answer that in Azrael's book.
I hope so. Because why are his shadows exactly like Koshi's?
Yeah.
But Morven had it too. And so does Kier.
Wait, Reese has shadows too.
Yeah, but they're not sentient.
Yeah.
His are like runes.
I thought they.
Like he can summon like shadows to use, but they're not like sentient. Like they don't whisper to him or anything. Like they don't have their own like consciousness, I guess you can say, which is like Rune because he's constantly compared to Rune. And then with Cormac and Azrael, when Bryce sees Azrael's shadows like whispering to him and all this stuff, she's like, oh, wild, like Cormac's had been. And I was like, Shadow Singer. And honestly, if Cormac could sing, my heart. We never knew. But that lends to the fact of, are Kier and the Darkbringers shadow singers, or are they just magic, or are they just shadow users like Reese?
Wait. No. Because Bryce is a light bringer.
Like Mala?
Mm-hmm.
Like Mala. And so the opposite of Lightbringer is Darkbringer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wait. So did
literally Aelin and Maeve. That's what I'm saying.
No, wait. So the Darkbringers would be like Lorcan. Right?
Maybe. Were Lorcan's shadows sentient, or did he just use them as like weapons? Like, did they have a consciousness, or?
I can't remember.
I actually think that they did, because I think he had them attack the guards when Aelin was running out of the dungeon after the coffin thing. And he has them like attack. So that's actually really funny because Lorcan looks exactly like an Illyrian, but without wings.
Does he really? Someone said he was
No.
Caspian's.
No.
What? Why are you
No.
laughing, Eka? What do you know?
No, it's just my personal headcanon is Lorcan looks like Peter Steele from Typo Negative.
I don't know what that is.
It's a band. I posted it in the chat, Melody.
I wasn't there.
Yes, you were.
When?
Before we came on.
I didn't see it. Everybody was responding to shit. And then like I got distracted. And then I was making your shirt.
Huh?
And then I was making your shirt. So I was like off for 5 minutes.
Oh. Okay.
But Lorcan does look like an Illyrian without wings. But also
Maybe.
the fact that the god that watches over him is Hellas is sus. Hellas?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. I have to
Hellas
keep talking.
is a dark
Like
burner.
Adis?
Like Adis?
All of the
Like
all of
Adis?
the princes of hell
Oh.
have shadows. But the question, again, the difference is, are they sentient or are they not? Because there's two types of shadow magic. There's the shadow singers, which are sentient, and their shadows have their own consciousness. And then there's just dark wielders like Rune and Reese, who can just use shadows and they don't have their own consciousness.
Wait a minute. What was Kaltane? Because I know she was a fire wielder like Aelin, but then it turned into black fire.
Shadow fire, yeah.
Yeah, shadow
So
fire.
hers were not sentient. She just used it to like blow shit up. I loved her. But can we also discuss how I've actually seen more people saying like, oh, well, maybe, Kaltane did like a type of yielding and she's on another planet because like we never saw her body either. And I just find it really funny that her and Cormac's deaths were literally the same.
They blew up.
Blew up.
They did a flash bomb and then that was it.
Yeah. But it's
And it's
funny
like-
because did I fuck, I forget when I screenshotted it. It was a while ago. But there's a line in I think it might have been Aka War where Feyre is talking about Eris's fire or something. Maybe it's after the ice scene and she's like, "Oh, well she knew like his fire wouldn't burn him."
Yeah,
And I was like
about that.
Because
it was when they were in the caves.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
she knew that his fire wouldn't burn him."
Yeah.
Their fire wouldn't burn themselves. And I want to know, because someone also pointed out that if Kaltane was merged with Valg, so much so that she got shadow fire, wouldn't that mean that if she was infused with that much Valg magic, that she could also be a world walker then? I don't know. I am so convinced that she's like Azrael's mom. I just am. I'm so convinced. I know, like the
What
way
if she's
thing.
Vesperus? What if Kaltane is Vesperus?
I would hate that. Kaltane was so sweet.
She was sweet, but she was also extremely jealous of Aelin, and she had a really bad opium
Yeah.
addiction.
I feel well,
Poor
yeah,
thing.
but that was before like Duke Parrington did all the shit to her. Ugh.
And
Ugh.
Poor
He's so
Kaltane.
gross. He's so gross. He's so gross. He's so gross.
she deserved better.
Mm-hmm. And then she was like, "Oh, tell Aelin thank you for the cloak." And again, a cloak. A cloak. Thank you for the cloak. And then she literally dug the freaking key out of her arm and was like, give this to Aelin. Yeah. So
She was in a dark place.
So my question is, because we know that the Valg can change their appearance, right? What if she did fall into Prithian, but she went through the archway, or she got thrown through a rift, whatever, ended up on Ramiel, because that's where the monolith is. That's where that's kind of like the gate between worlds. Saw the Illyrians and thought, oh, so this planet has like winged people or whatever. And then because she has so much Valg magic in her, she could manifest wings. She could change herself into an Illyrian.
That would be pretty cool, actually. I kind of like that theory.
And then she could have been Azriel's mom, which then explains why the brothers tried to burn him, because they heard about Shadowfire.
Maybe.
Did Azriel, I don't think Azriel ever said like what his mom worked as, or like what she was before. Because we know that Rhys's mom was like a seamstress or whatever, and we know that Cassian's was a laundress. But Azriel never says like,
cleans.
hmm?
I thought it didn't say she cleans. Am I crazy?
The only thing it says is that, oh, Rhys's mom had known Azriel's mom, so she took him in.
Yeah.
And also, if Rhys's mom is a witch and she knew Azriel's mom, I don't know. If I am right about Kaltain being Azriel's mom, I will freak the fuck out.
I would love that, actually. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Like, obviously, I'm super convinced that Cormac is alive. So if they, quote unquote, died the exact same way, either they're both alive or they're both dead. Actually, I had a question, Eka, because you know Tog a little better than me, because I kind of flew through it. Do we know if anyone or Kaltain herself ever like drew or like carved word marks onto her? Because that would make more sense if she had word marks on her. I mean, the Valg power makes a little sense, but word marks would help.
I don't remember if she...
Because, I mean, she did have the key in her arm for a while to the gate. So maybe she took some of that magic.
Drew some, but I'm not certain.
Because, like, if she... So, I'm just thinking, like, the Valg power, or, like, the key, right? Turned her fire into shadow fire permanently. Then, like, what else did she get from it? Could she have gotten the ability to walk through worlds because she was, like, a living gate? Because remember, they were talking about living gates. Like, there are people that are living gates. So I'm like, what if Kaltain, Cormac, and, was it Rigelus? Rigelus mentioned someone else being a living gate, and I forget who it is. Maybe it's Bryce. But there's, like, literally people that are, like, living gates, which I think are just, like, world walkers or wayfarers. Let me see if I forget.
Would a seer be considered a gate, or is that more like Nesta?
Maybe Rhys, because he's connected to the void. He's inherently connected to that part of it. I could see him being a living gate. I found it. And it is talking about the world walkers, actually.
Oh, as gates?
Yeah, it says light met light, and yet Rigelus's starlight wasn't light at all. It was power, yes, but it was first light. It was the power of Midgard, of the people. It flowed into her so much power that it nearly knocked the breath out of her lungs. Time slowed further, and still she seized more of Rigelus's power. His power indicator on the wall plummeted. He reeled back, releasing her, either in pain or rage or fear, she didn't know. But his light was not his own. His light had been stolen from the people of Midgard. He was a living gate, storing that power, and just as she'd taken it from the gates this spring, just as it had fueled her ascent, fueled her own power to new levels, now it became hers.
So she's
So
not
Bryce is one too then.
well, yeah, now she is, but before she wasn't.
So Nesta might be one soon after her drop. So it's just the ability to, it's like Karanam, basically, but with raw power. So when Bryce like touched the gates during the spring, like she sucked all that power into herself. Just like Rigelus sucked the people of Midgard dry. Without the first light, without the people of Midgard and every other planet, they bled dry. Without the power of the people, these Asteri fuckers were nothing. Bryce then sent all the power through the horn in her back. And this is when she, like, opens the black hole. Mm. Dude, if Kaltane and Cormac are living gates, and then Nesta, like, calls to like. Oh my god, that's like.
Wait a minute. Void. Does that mean if Reese is connected to the void and the void is technically a black hole?
Mm-hmm. He would also be a living gate. And living gates were mentioned in Throne of Glass, but I don't remember what book. Oh,
Wait, so is he still a living gate even though he died and was brought back to life?
maybe. Well, yeah, because in Akasif, then he goes into the void to save Nesta, remember, from her nightmare. The astral projects into it. It says on the overview, it says, in Throne of Glass, the living gate is a magical barrier that protects the land of Aurelia from the Fae. It is a powerful, life-giving entity that can only be crossed with a special token or by those who have earned the gate's permission. The living gate is crucial to the story as it is the key to stopping the Fae from entering and destroying Aurelia. It's a natural barrier, powerful symbol of the land's magic and the balance between the Fae and the mortal world. So was the wall a living gate?
No, it was just a wall.
So is Tamlin? Because it's like the barrier between the Fae and the mortals, I guess.
He could be. I'd also wonder if Moore was a living gate and if Azrael is a living gate. Because he goes to the thin places.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So is that like the space between like her human form and Fae form? Because it says Aelin interacts with it, often using her power and skills to protect it or cross into the Fae side.
No, so the way that it's explained in Tog is, you know how like all of the Fae have animal forms?
Yeah.
It's described that Aelin's animal form is her human form.
Yeah. So who's does Tamlin have a human form? If Aelin had a human form?
I love that, actually.
I mean, technically
he could just shift into anything.
Well, no. Think about it. Technically, his human form is how Feyres sees him, because without that glamour, he's Mr. Disco Ball.
Yeah. But like it would be really cool if like he actually had like a human form, and like it would just be so funny if he looked nothing like himself in his human. Like with Aelin, she looked like herself, but like her ears got round and she just looked a little dull. Kind of like when Moore glamored Elaine back into a human.
I would think that he would have a human form because Who else was it who visited the Archerons and was like, "Oh, your ship was found. Here's all this money."
Yeah, they're like, oh, some male. Some male?
Tamlin.
Tamlin.
I love.
And also he had to have done research on humans because he's like, I find human lifespans fascinating and what they can do in their lives. Like, that was also Tamlin going through the wall at some point.
Absolutely. You know he's been through the wall on multiple occasions.
See, this is why Briar is his mate. This is
I,
exactly why.
I'm just at the point where if I get more Tamlin at all in Spring Court, I'll be happy.
Yeah. But I
Yeah,
also
Like,
want to know, like, what did Hybern do to her? Because, like, she could have a Fae form for all we know. Like, she could be like Aelin now, technically.
or she's like Keltane. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's more of that.
But Hybern's dead, so now Tamlin can protect her. She's gonna have, okay, think of this. She's gonna have hella fucking nightmares. And what's gonna happen? Tamlin's gonna help her through her nightmares as a mirror to when he couldn't help Feyre.
oh, I love that.
Hope he curls around her feet.
Yup, in the beast form.
Wait a minute, didn't he do that with Farah?
He curled up at the
around.
bottom of the bed and
That's
faced the
so
door.
sweet.
But Feyre didn't like it, remember?
Yeah, she was like, I ignored him the way he ignored me.
Yeah.
She's a hate.
I know. So, oh my God, it would be so cute if, like, she curls up to him in his beast form after he helps her.
And
Needs
That's
to
what
go.
I would have done.
No. And also, you have to think, like, his beast form is huge. So he shifted into, like, a mini version to fit on the bed. And I think of that so often. I'm like, he shifted into, like, dog size beast with, like, the little horns.
I love it.
He had to be so cute. But yeah, he just, I would kind of love if he knew in Hybern and then like shows up to the Winter Court and is like, I've come to claim my mate. But I also love the idea of everyone who writes fanfics is like, oh, she's an emissary for the Winter Court and sent to help Tamlin rebuild Spring or whatever. Because and you know, kind of quell the issues between mortals and humans. I mean mortals and Fae, because the wall is down.
no, I think she would be a Winter Court caroler and then just like go to random people's houses throughout the courts and like sing carols.
I
Here,
do.
have
That
some
is
fun.
actually my headcanon that she's a really good singer. And she just sings him like
Oh
lullabies
my
and
God,
shit.
he would be a good singer because he's a musician.
Musician, yeah.
Oh,
Actually, in my fic, I have them make a bargain where she's like, "Oh, I want to hear you play" or whatever, and he's like, "No, I haven't picked that up since Feyre or whatever." And she's like, "I'll make you a bargain. If you fiddle for me, I will sing for you in public." And so
Oh,
they make literally a bargain where he has to fiddle on the grand opening of Spring, and she sings for him.
I love
So
that.
cute. It's so cute. But yeah,
Give me some Tamlin.
I know. Team Brylan and Corsta forever.
Oh my God.
Hello, everybody. We are back with the girls again. um, I was just lamenting over more fandom hate earlier, but then I got a ask in my Tumblr inbox about certain aspects of Feyre's fuckery in Akawar. And they sent me a bunch of quotes that somebody, I guess, had listed on a post. I don't really know where it came from. And they're like, oh, are these like from the book? Because people are saying that this is what she did or whatever. And they were non-canonical quotes, so I'm assuming somebody took them from a fanfic. But I did tell her, like, but like,
don't get me wrong. What Feyre did in Akawar was actually kind of worse than those quotes that you gave me. And so I copied and pasted the exact quotes from Feyre from Akawar chapter 9. And I find it odd that we've never gone over this before, because I feel like a lot of people in this fandom need the reminder. I feel like they need to soak up these words really deeply into their bones, because many people forget that this shit was said by Feyre on page, right? So this is after fucking Alice helps her pack up. And I don't know, she talks to fucking Branna and Dagden and all that shit. And then in her head, she says, and I quote, "I brought 3 packs, but I'd only need one. The one I'd carefully repacked with Alice's new supplies, now tucked beside everything I'd anticipated needing or to get clear of them and go. The one I'd brought with me on every trip out to the wall just in case. And now, ... I had numbers, I had a purpose, I had a specific location and the names of foreign territories. But more than that, I had a people who had lost faith in their high priestess. I had sentries who were beginning to rebel against their high lord. And as a result of those things, I had highborn royals doubting the strength of their allies here. I'd primed this court to fall. Not from outside forces, but its own internal warring, which she set up, by the way, and admitted to, by the way. And I had to be clear of it before it happened, before the last sliver of my plan fell into place. Now, this is her plan, keep in mind, which is fucking evil, by the way. Fucking evil. The party would return without me, and to maintain that illusion of strength, Tamlin and Ianthe would lie about it, where I'd gone. First of all, you don't know that, because they would probably just be looking for you.
Yeah.
Perhaps a day or two after that, one of these sentries would reveal the news, a carefully sprung trap that I'd coiled into his mind like one of my snares. That I'd fled for my life. After being nearly killed by the highborn prince and princess, I'd planted images in his head of my brutalized body, the markings consistent with what Dagden and Branna had already revealed to be their style. He'd describe them in detail, describe how he helped me get away before it was too late, how I ran for my life when Tamlin and Ianthe refused to intervene to risk their alliance with Hybern. And when the sentry revealed the truth, no longer able to stomach keeping quiet when he saw how my sorry fate was concealed by Tamlin and Ianthe, just as Tamlin had sided with Ianthe the day he flogged the sentry, which you also set up. When he described what Hybern had done to me, their cursebreaker, their newly anointed cauldron blessed, before I'd fled for my life, ... there would be no further alliance, for there would be no sentry or denizen of this court who would stand with Tamlin or Ianthe after this, after me. Period. The end. Why is it even a fucking question whose fault the fall of spring was? If it was gonna fall by itself, why was she necessary? Why do all this shit if you were that convinced that he was so bad and it was gonna fall itself? Why go to these lengths? Because you knew that was a lie. Because you knew he wasn't a bad High Lord, and you knew that even from the beginning, they went out to be killed by you for him. Like, are you fucking kidding me? That is evil.
Absolutely. Well, and also, like you said, she assumed Tamlin and Ianthe wouldn't look for her. We don't know that for a fact. We never got to see what he did afterwards.
Yeah.
That her father would be looking for her, and it turned out no, it was Nesta was the one who looked for her.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Tamlin and Ianthe would lie about where I went. They wouldn't have to lie. They'd be like, oh, she ran off because she's a fucking traitor, which is the truth. Like, they wouldn't even have to lie.
Do you guys think that Tamlin knew everything Feyre had done and like that she had planted that in the soldier's head? Like, what do you think he knew?
Well, remember that after this, she also plants the same thing in Ianthe's head. Remember?
Mhm.
I'll flip to that real quick. Oh, the poor thing with Lucien. Ugh. So Feyres says, and this is still chapter 9, end of chapter 9, actually. I know the hand smashing thing, but it's somewhere in there when she's in her head. But also the fact that she's like, I should leave him there. What? Like what? He left you in the cells? What, to fend for yourself? No. He came for you at every
I
chance.
I heard one person say that it was karma for how he in the very beginning treated her. Do you remember that when he like sent her out to get the cereal?
He doesn't,
And
though. So what happens is they're talking about different types of monsters, and he's just randomly rattling off different types of monsters, like in what they do, not even by name. And she's
Yeah.
like, what about that one that tells you things or whatever? And he's like, oh, you don't want to know how to catch one of those or whatever. And she's like, yeah, I do. Just tell me, just tell me. And she's like super obnoxious about it. So then he's like, oh, you just like get a fucking dead chicken or whatever, but don't you dare try it. And then obviously she fucking tries it. So it's not like, oh, go try and do it, Feyre. He literally warned her not to, which is
Yeah.
a pattern. Everybody warns her not to do shit, and she still does shit. He did not send her out there after the cereal. That is a lie. He told her not to. He did
When did
hesitate.
he give her?
But like, honestly, wouldn't you hesitate too if you repeatedly told somebody not to do something and they got their fucking selves in trouble? You'd be like, well, we told you. And it was like a fraction of a second, and then he went to get her. He went to
Yeah.
get her. Tamlin just was faster because he was closer.
Yeah.
So he did go for her even then.
And they're like brother and sister. That's how I see their relationship. Or they were for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, the hand thing. Granted, the one good part of this is like the shit that she said to Ianthe about touching people against their will. But you would think that like, oh wow, Rhys did that shit to me. Never fucking goes through your head, bitch. How dumb are you? You will never know another's touch unless they initiate it. Wow. Wow, you should give the same lesson to your mate. And I find it weird that both her and Rhys destroy Ianthe's hand, and then like Rhys also destroys like Kyr's arm. Like, what is their thing with like body parts?
You're ruining the hands and the arms.
Yeah. Yeah. Really, does it have consequences, Sarah? Because I didn't see consequences for Rhys. Touching people against their will has consequences. Kneel here until someone finds you. Okay, I debated slitting your throat this morning. She says the same thing about Tamlin. It's kind of weird. Okay, I've debated it every single day since I learned you sold out my sisters to Highburn. Ianthe. Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope you live a long, long life and never know a moment's peace. Well, you fucked that up, Feyre. She's like, never mind. Take it back. Boom, dead. Oh my God. Lucien shoved off the tree but didn't come to my side. Something like agony flickered across his face as he noted the stolen bandolier and the pack on my shoulders. That is the second he realized what she was doing. and that he like didn't see it before. Because everyone's like, he knew exactly what she was doing and he knew exactly that she was in people's minds. Like he had no fucking clue. He didn't even know she was a Daemati until this very moment. And then she says they, Branna and Dagden, weren't letting Lucien leave this clearing alive, or at least with his mind intact. He seemed to realize it at the same moment I did, understanding that there was no way they'd reveal this without knowing they'd get away with it. And then Feyre's like, take the spring court. It's gonna fall one way or another. Lucien snarled. I ignored him. Lucien's still standing up for spring.
Aw.
Even here. And then, see, this is Branna and Dagden, but mostly Branna. We gave the priestess the powder at first, crushed Fabane stone, ground so fine you couldn't see or scent or taste it in your food. She'd add a little at a time, nothing suspicious, not too much, lest it stifle all your powers at once. We've been Daemati for 1,000 years, girl. Also, who else uses girl? Amryn. But we didn't even need to slip into her mind to get her to do our bidding. But was it this time, or have you been in her mind for centuries that you just didn't need to anymore? That you broke her so thoroughly? Because I'm still convinced.
How did they know that she was Daemati beforehand? Because they knew at the table when they were in spring, but how did they know to poison her beforehand?
Exactly. Weird. Yeah. Dagden's mind speared for Lucian's. A dark arrow shot between them. I slammed up a shield between them, and my very bones ached. See, Lucien doesn't have shields, and neither does Tamlin, because she did that back when Jurian was at the table. They don't have mental shields. There's no way Tamlin's father, besties with Hybern and these twins, would teach his weakest son mental shields, especially when he was bringing him to Hybern as some kind of fucking twisted offering. That's why he doesn't know how to do mental shields. And I don't think Rhys, even when he was friends with him, wouldn't have thought long term as like, oh, if this doesn't work out, I'm not going to teach him mental shields. Come on.
But then, so does that mean that Branna and Dagden are in Tamlin's mind?
Could have been when Feyre wasn't
Yeah.
around, but because that's what I'm saying. Like, Feyre wasn't always around them.
Yeah.
So they could have been in Alice's mind. They could have been in Tamlin's mind. They could have been in
Oh.
Jurian's mind, Lucian's mind, when she wasn't around.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool fan.
What apple? The one you shoved down your throat an hour ago. Grown and tended in the king's personal garden. The king has a garden. Fed a steady diet of water laced with Fabane. That's why he wanted Elaine. Elaine tend our gardens. So, wouldn't that be crazy if Elaine is like, has her own fucking Fabane garden?
Fabane garden? What?
What? Enough to knock out your powers for a few days straight. No shackles required. Here you are thinking no one noticed you planned to vanish today. So they were in Feyre's head too at some point. And she had
They knew?
no
They
idea.
were the ones saying
Because
that?
remember, Rhys was like, oh, an expert Daemati. You wouldn't even know they're in there. So this means that every time they speared for someone, they made sure she saw it. Right? They were playing her game. Our uncle would be most displeased if we allowed that to happen. Also, who the fuck is your parents? Like, you have an uncle who I still think it was the Queen of the Blackland. King of Hybern, Queen of the Blacklands, brother and sister. I don't know, makes sense to me. She probably found someone else to marry and have her evil children after, what's his face fled. Draken. Okay. So this is like after she fucking saves Lucien from Ianthe, and then she's like, I was running out of borrowed time. I could winnow, but then I'd abandon Lucien to them if he somehow couldn't manage to himself with the Faebane in his system from the food at the camp. Leave him. I should and could leave him. But to a fate perhaps worse than death. And then Lucien is like, his russet eye gleamed, go.
Oh, I forgot he said that, you guys.
He wanted her to save herself.
Why? He wanted to stay then, right? In spring?
He knew he could die, too. Again.
But how would he die?
Every time, though. No, because he knew at that point that Feyre had prime spring to fall, and that they were going to come trample through and, like, kill people. He wanted to defend it. Even without powers. Even without powers.
So then why? I forget. Why did he go? He could have stayed.
No, because then she threatens that he'll never see Elaine and all this stuff, remember? Or he assumes that. So it says, I made my choice. I exploded into night and smoke and shadow, and even 1,000 years wasn't enough for Dagden to adequately prepare as I winnowed in front of him and struck. Why? How? This makes no sense. And then her and Lucien working in tandem to fucking kill them. I love that. I love this whole thing so much. Winnow, strike. Winnow, strike. I love that so much. I had the vague sense of Lucien gaping, even Branna taken aback by my show of skill against her brother. But Dagden's blows weren't hard. They were simply precise and swift, but he didn't throw himself into it wholly. Because he wants you as fucking bait. He doesn't actually want to kill you. He wants to drag you back to Hybern, which was the whole point since Akamath, which is why Tamlin shielded you in the fucking manor. What the fuck? Why are people not getting this? He was just buying time, wearing me down. Yeah, no shit. I hit him where he was weakest. Branna screamed as a wall of flame slammed into her. You little bitch. That's so funny. I just think that's so funny.
I do love this scene. I remember it.
I love this scene so much. Yeah. Okay. But then, okay. She expected me to attack her mind. She was shuddering, gasping with agony. The reek of charred skin now drifted to us directly from her right arm, her ribs, her thigh. Dagden lunged for me again, and I brought up both of my knives to meet his blade. He didn't pull the blow this time. I felt its reverberation in every inch of my body. I felt the rising... Okay, now this, I think, is Lucien's air/High Lord's powers coming through. Because then, she says, I felt the rising, stifling silence, too. I'd felt it once before, that day in Hybern. Branna surged to her feet with a sharp cry, but Lucien was there. Her focus wholly on me, on taking from me the beauty I'd burned from her. Branna did not see him winnow until it was too late, until Lucien's sword refracted the light of the sun, leaking through the canopy, fucking Narbin, and then met flesh and bone. A tremor shuddered through the clearing, like some thread between the twins had been snipped as Branna's dark head thudded onto the grass. Dagden screamed, launching himself at Lucien, winnowing across the 15 feet between us. Lucien had barely heaved the blade out of Branna's severed neck when Dagden was before him, sword shoving forward to ram through his throat. Lucien had only enough time to stumble back from Dagden's killing blow. I had enough time to stop it. I parried his blade with one knife, the male's eyes going wide as I winnowed between them and punched the other into his eye, right into the skull behind it. Also, eye for an eye. That's kind of funny. Get it? She stabbed him through the eye for Lucien because Amarantha took Lucien's eye.
What are you saying, Eka?
I just thought of something. Valg, only way to kill them is to cut off their head, right?
Yeah. Because they're Valg.
Right. So what if Tamlin wasn't needed to bring him back? To bring Lucien back because he's Valg. But since he did bring him that way, now the Valg is stronger. Like a Hydra.
Yep, because you have to behead them. Hybern, Amarantha, Lanthus, Vesperus, Branna, Dagden, all beheaded. And did you catch that too? Did you catch that too when she attacked Branna? The rising, stifling silence. What happens when an Asteri is killed? Time stops.
Nice catch. And you want to know what? She does say that type of thing on like 2 or 3 occasions all around Lucien. So I think that you're right.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that so it was like when Nesta killed Hybern with Truth Teller, or when Nesta chopped off Hybern's head with Truth Teller, and then him killing them with Narbin, and then Tamlin killing Amarantha with Narbin. Lucian's sword.
If it's Narbin.
And then
I wish
Nesta
you would at least give us,
killing
like, that.
And then Nesta killing Lanthus and Vesperus with Ataraxia. Come on.
There's a lot of Valg though in Agatar.
Mm-hmm. That's why when Vesperus is like, there's 2 more mountains, like, we're supposed to believe there aren't more Valg under that.
Valg.
Come on.
And I think they came through when Bryce was doing her little fighty thing.
Mm-hmm.
I bet they're in the Akatar world. They have to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Reese is freaking out.
Mm-hmm. Yo, ancestors. Yo, fam.
I know.
Oh, okay, here it is. It was after this. Okay, here it is. Yeah, because Ianthe's just kind of watching this. Like, oh, fuck. Just still kneeling there.
Oh,
no. Bone and blood and soft tissue scraped and slid along the blade, Dagden's mouth still open with surprise as I yanked out the knife. I let him fall atop his sister, the thud of flesh on flesh, the only sound. Just how they like it. Just saying. Twin sis.
you're not wrong.
I mean, okay. I merely looked at Ianthe, my power guttering, a hideous ache building in my gut, and made my last command, amending my earlier ones. You tell them I killed them in self-defense after they hurt me so badly while you and Tamlin did nothing. Even when they torture you for the truth, you say that I fled after I killed them to save this court from their horrors. So, they had her spread that she was the savior yet again. Blank, vacant eyes were my only answer. Feyre, Lucian's voice was a hoarse rasp. I merely wiped my 2 knives on Dagden's back before reclaiming my fallen pack. You're going back to the night court. I shouldered my heavy pack and looked at him. Yes, his tan face paled, but he surveyed Ianthe, the 2 dead royals. I'm going with you. No, was all I said, heading for the trees. A cramp formed in my belly. I had to get away, had to use the last of my power to winnow to the hills. You won't make it without magic, he warned me. I gritted my teeth against the sharp pain in my abdomen and rallied my strength to winnow to the distant foothills, but Lucien grabbed my arm, halting me. I'm going with you, he said again, face splattered with blood as bright as his hair. I'm getting my mate back. Because he knew that after that shit, after what she told Ianthe to tell people, that he would be blamed too. And he knew that if that got around, nobody would let him see Elaine. Unless he went with her. There was no time for this argument, for the truth and debate and the answers I saw he desperately wanted. Tamlin and the others would have heard the shouting by now. Don't make me regret this, I told him.
Oh, come on, man.
People got blamed anyway.
No shit.
And Elaine,
Whatever.
And he's just like, I'm done. Like, maybe she'll come around. I'm gonna go over here and try and heal. It's smart.
Yep. And then, like, okay, how does Feyre know about the thin places? I know I've said this before, but how?
She doesn't, just like she doesn't know how a fox goes into a chicken because she's never had chickens, otherwise she wouldn't have starved.
True.
No, but she knows because
she can know.
She does know,
I
though.
agree with that guy.
So it says, Lucian's magic went away. He says, "It's gone," gasping for breath. "My magic, not an ember. They must have dosed all of us." And then blah, 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 blah. Now, it says, "I stepped northward, swaying. Lucian gripped my arm. You're taking a door?" I slid aching eyes toward him. Yes. The caves, doors, as they called them, in those hollows led to other pockets of Prithian. I'd taken one straight under the mountain. I would now take one to get me home, or as close to it as I could get. No door to the night court existed, here or anywhere. Lies! Yeah, I forgot Alice took her through one. No shit. How does Alice know?
Under the
Fucking
mountain.
Alice! How does she know about the thin places?
I don't think she does know. I think they just know under the mountain, and they all learned that there's.
But did they?
Yeah.
They
It must be common knowledge.
where was the door though? Was it the cave? Was it Tamlin's cave? I forget.
I
Because she's
don't
like,
think
"Oh,
so.
let's travel on foot to the door." What door? And then it took her right under the mountain. So there's a thin place from under the mountain to somewhere. So maybe Alice didn't know about the spring court one, but there was one maybe near the summer court that she knew of. Weird. Weird. She's like, "Oh, we could have taken them all the way to the night court from under the mountain if Tamlin hadn't blocked it off." Interesting. You're telling me that Tamlin's fucking father got into the night court with all of his sons undetected in Illyria, of all places, and you're gonna say there's no door to the night court? There is a fucking monolith and a archway on Ramiel. There is the thin place under Hewn City that took them right to the prison. It had to be one of the above. But I find it very interesting because if Tamlin is part Dusk Court through his father, the father might know that. And what if he used the prison thin place to get there? And would the prison have let him out since he had Dusk Court blood? Similar to Rhys, but I don't think Rhys knew that. I bet Hybern knew that. Because the Daglin were literally a part of the whole Dusk shit with Thea. They would know exactly whose lines her blood was in, right? Because why'd they want Tamlin so much? Or new theory, what if Tamlin has the most Dusk Court of the Spring Court people, and that's why his father dragged him along, because they used his blood?
Maybe.
Because he was the strongest. He was the most powerful. He had the light that he wore his glamour for. Right?
Was Amarantha always there, though, when he went to the Dusk Court? Or, Hybern?
I don't know. It's not said. You can assume because at the time he was like a little kid, so she hadn't really started her like excursion, I guess, against Jurian yet. We don't really have a timeline of when that happened.
Yeah.
So technically, it would either be before or after the war. So either, well, actually, he was born during the war. So even if it was sometime during his childhood, it would have been around the same time as her revenge against Jurian. Which, weird. But then again, Sarah doesn't pay attention to timelines, so. Oh, and he took his youngest son to Hybern. Okay, but like, weren't they in the middle of a war? Why would he be there? Sarah! Yeah, because then Lucien says, the Autumn Court portal is that way. Lucien.
The portal!
Lucien, then Sarah! Then Sarah, he knows, just like Eris, he knows. warning and reproach. And then Feyre's like, I can't go into summer. They'll kill me on sight. So, of course, he's like, all right, guess we're going to go where they'll kill me then, bitch.
I know. Lucien.
The only other door here leads under the mountain. We sealed off the other entrances. If we go there, we could wind up trapped or have to return. Then we go to autumn, Feyre says. Lucien gleaned the word home anyway, and seemed to realize then that's what the night court was, home. I could almost see the word in his russet eye as he shook his head. Later. Later would have it out. Oh, and you do. Oh, and you do. The autumn court will be just as dangerous as summer, he warned.
Oh, I love him.
I know a place. Of course you do. Walking toward the cave. The cave. To the lands of the family who'd betrayed him as badly as this court had betrayed mine. How? Your family is your sisters, bitch. Tamlin helped your fucking sisters every single time.
Yeah.
Fuck you. The inner circle is not your family. Whatever. Just the fact that she chose Cassian and Azriel over her sisters during the Hybern scene still pisses me off. Like, I get that you care about them, but you're gonna put them, who you just met, over your sisters? She's like, if I moved to help my sisters, I knew that Cassian and Azriel would be dead. So you're choosing them over your sisters, who are actively being killed. Okay. Makes sense. I hate her. Also, the cave to the autumn court had been left unguarded. How funny. How convenient. Did Eris somehow know that his little brother was on his way?
I would love that.
Because I feel like Eris knows a lot of shit. I feel like his smoke hounds are kind of like Azriel's shadows. And they can, like, sense shit. So he's probably like, fuck, I gotta recall my guards. Because remember, Eris is the one that found them in the cave because it was a High Lord order. So Baron, someone probably fucking told Baron too. And then he was like, fuck. Go get them. Lucien looked me over. As if to ask if I too had been responsible for the lack of guards who were always stationed there. Always stationed there. I gave him another nod. No way. I slid into their minds before we left, making sure this door would be left open. Cassian always taught me to always have a second escape route, always. When the fuck did you travel to the autumn border?
Yeah, I forgot that part, you guys.
Me too. She didn't leave. When? When? There's no way that was Feyre.
Huh. So much happening off page, right?
It's so weird.
So much.
Lucien paused before the swirling gloom of the cave mouth, the blackness like a worm poised to devour us both. Foreshadowing of Hofas. I love that. I love that. See, because she was working on Crescent City when she was writing Akawar.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, she started Crescent City when she was writing Akawar.
Oh, I love
it. So now I'm just like, she always was going to bring back the freaking worm.
That worm was coming back.
Like a worm. I'm like, that's her favorite monster, apparently. Stay if you want. What's done is done. Okay. I had debated it for weeks, whether it was better to claim the spring court for ourselves or to let it fall to our enemies. That sounds very Aelin. Oh, I could conquer different nations if I wanted to.
How far are
You want to conquer the fucking spring court, Feyre?
It's funny though, because Aelin, I think, would conquer it, whereas Feyre obviously
No,
did
she
not.
didn't. No, Aelin didn't. She's like, I
She
just want a
didn't?
normal life. Yeah. But
Really?
Rowan was like, you could conquer so many nations. And like, what the fuck?
Rowan over there, the ambitious
The
man.
fuck, Rowan
Rowan. Wait,
wants
did
to
you
give
finish
his mate
Throne
the
of Glass?
world, literally.
Yeah, literally. Wait, did you finish Tog?
No, not completely.
Oh.
But
Are
I
you in
just
Kingdom of Ash?
no, I'm on Empire of Storms.
Oh, okay, okay. Dang.
Fucking Aelin. But yeah.
Dang, girl.
First of all, what even makes her think the Night Court wants the Spring Court?
Right. Unless they talked about it beforehand, her and Reese, which they could have.
I don't trust him. This is why I don't trust him. He is in her fucking head right now.
I
He's
don't
using
think
her, I swear to fuck.
he's not. This is all Feyre. You gotta give her credit. Like she's
She's definitely a bitch. I do think half of it is her, but I don't think she would have gone to this extent.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think this seems a little bit off for like her character because when you see her, even in Silver Flames, she kind of comes back more down to just more of like a moderate, kind of mild personality.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like,
even the foreshadowing in like book 1 where Reese is like, kneel to me. Like, this is very much Reese. Like, this sounds like fucking Reese. And again, I'm gonna help her take down the Spring Court from the inside out. I'm gonna take down the Spring Court from the inside out. What?
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he was in her head, but I just don't think it. I don't know. I don't see it.
She says it could not remain neutral, a barrier between our forces in the north and the humans in the south. It would have been easy to call in Reese and Cassian to have the latter bring in an Illyrian legion to claim the territory when it was weakest after my own maneuverings. Depending on how much mobility Cassian had retained if he was still healing. Yet then we'd hold one territory with 5 other courts between us. Sympathy might have swayed for the Spring Court. Others might have joined Hybern against us, considering our conquest here proves our wickedness.
Proves their wickedness. I mean, that does sound a lot like Reese, right?
Yeah,
very tactful. It does sound like him, you know. Unless Feyre learned a lot overnight about political, you know, I don't know, political
movement.
She is
not political. Sure. She knows nothing about this. This sounds like fucking Reese.
I mean, it does, unless he taught her all that, but
others might have joined Hybern against us, considering our conquest here proof of our wickedness. Wow.
Wow. I mean, it was
right on page for you.
It was pretty wicked. Let's be real.
If Spring fell to Hybern, we could rally the other courts to us, charge as one from the north, drawing Hybern in close. So what? Conquering all of fucking Prythian? Okay, Daglin! Motherfucking Valg!
I know.
Hello!
That's wild.
She was so right in Crescent City here. Okay, this proves that Reese is fucking a stary. Come on.
What? The whole thing?
This proves it. Come on. Oh, we could just conquer everything and then destroy Hybern. What? What?
Maybe.
And then it's wild that she flips out on Tamlin for even suggesting they would conquer Prythian. He knew. In the fucking High Lord meeting, he knew. Would we find ourselves with a High King and High Queen of Prythian? He knew. He clocked that shit.
Yeah. He's brilliant. I don't care what anyone says. Tamlin is absolutely brilliant. And he's pacing with Reese. He's
strategic.
Just as smart. Yes. Just as smart as Reese is. Let's be real.
And the way that she could see that in book 1 and she suddenly can't see that because he's bad and Reese is good. It's Reese. I swear it's Reese. I fucking hate Feyre for her own shit, but this is Reese. The political shit has to be.
I'm curious to see at the end of this entire series if she actually comes out and says, "Oh yeah, Reese was in her mind," or "This is where we see his influence on her."
An
or
expert
anything.
Daimari can trap you in the confines of their mind and never let you out, and you'll think that every decision is yours.
It's
Why
wild.
is that in there? Black and white, plain as day.
It's pretty wild. I completely agree with you.
You are right, Lucien declared at last. The girl I knew did die under the mountain.
Oh, I was
I
so
wasn't
sad.
sure if it was an insult. Oh, totally it is. But I nodded all the same. At least we can agree on that. I stepped into the awaiting cold and dark. Wow.
What?
The symbolism
what?
is symbolizing.
It is.
Okay, Lucien fell into step beside me as we strode beneath the archway of carved, crude stone.
That's amazing.
Another archway.
Another archway, more CC in there. I love it.
That's why Eris knows shit.
Oh, absolutely. Because he goes in through it all the time. He knows. He knows everything.
And why, which I texted you guys earlier, I'm mad that she's not here for this conversation, but
I know.
why the fuck is the forest house underground? It is an underground fortress. Why?
I'm curious. I don't know. I can't wait.
You want to know
for her to
why?
write it.
I know why. You
Why?
want to know why? Because Peleus was a fucking redhead. And Peleus was the one that worked with Thea to kill Fionn, go to Midgard, and then killed Thea, raped Helena to have kids. And that's why Einar is the way he is, because he said he's from Peleus's line, which would mean he's from Peleus and Helena's line. I mean, he said he was from Helena's line, so Peleus raped Helena, that's their line. The red hair is dominant, remember?
Yeah.
When it's a redhead and someone with black hair.
Yeah.
Which is why Einar has red hair, because Peleus
Okay.
has to be a redhead.
Wait, so what does that have to do with the house being underground? I'm confused.
Because the Daglin carved out under the mountains. Their homes when they were invading planets were, either in, like, Crescent City was a giant castle, but when they invaded Prithian, they lived under mountains, like in the dark, in the cold. And Peleus worked with the Daglin. So if he was an Autumn Court male, what if the Autumn Court is like, oh, Peleus always liked, underground homes. And they did it for their ancestors, and they made the ancestral home underground.
That's amazing. I literally would not have put two and two together. That's really impressive.
Because remember, Peleus is the one that got Thea to trust Rigelus.
I know. I remember
he was always
that.
working with them.
Yep, I know. Oh, it's just so sad.
So if Peleus forcibly married and raped Helena, had kids, their kids would have the red hair because it's dominant with a raven-haired person.
Okay.
Because, like, Lady A and Helion, Lucien has red hair. Einar and Ember, Bryce has red hair.
Yeah. Shut up. That's amazing. Well, now you've given me so much to think about the rest of the night.
Peleus is a fucking redhead! Obviously! And you know what's so funny? I got a comment literally right after I read that part of CC again, because I'm on my 4th reread.
Yeah.
Where I think, was it earlier today? I think it might have been earlier today. And she said, I gotta bring it up real quick because it's so funny. And I didn't even tell her, like, oh my God, I was just thinking about that. But she says, here it is. Wonder why Einar is supposed to be related to Helena but looks like Eris, while Rune's mom looks like Rhys's family, thus Rune looking like Rhys. I wonder if the Donnells are cousins to the Dannons, and if Peleus is Autumn Court related. So I was like, yeah, Peleus is a fucking redhead.
That's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. That was figured out. I don't know how you guys would put the two together.
Which means, you know what I'm gonna say, means Rune can't be Einar's. Or he would have red hair.
Look at that. Oh my gosh.
Why does he have the black hair? Because the black hair is dominant over blonde hair.
Hair. Yes, it is.
Tamlin!
Oh my god. I need the next book so much. I want the next book, please. Oh, it's creepy
I was
forever.
like, holy shit! And I was like, Peleus is autumn court!
Brilliant.
Peleus is a redhead!
That is absolutely brilliant. And that's part of the reason why there's such a wicked group of people in the Autumn Court, and why he was so cunning and able to like backstab people and overthrow. It makes sense. Everything makes sense.
And why Baron had to forcibly marry Lady A, because Lady A was part of Peleus's line, the original Autumn Court line.
Yes.
For
Yes.
power.
Yeah. Good job. I love it.
So Lady A, that's why she's so fucking powerful.
Yeah.
She's also from Peleus's line.
Hmm.
Which means, again, Bryce is their fucking cousin.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if Bryce comes back. I don't think she's actually going to come back, though. I don't see it happening.
I don't either.
That's so sad because I loved them.
Like, dude,
I need more
they're cousins.
Yeah, bring Bryce and Hunt back, man. We want to see them.
I was
Give
a
me
little
pregnant Bryce.
I was a little upset at Hunt's, little bromance with Cassian, but whatever. But dude,
we'll have to
the
talk
fact
about that another
they're
time.
they're like Lady A and Einar are literally both from Peleus.
Yeah, they're related 100%.
So Bryce and Lucien are cousins, but Bryce is particularly, and I will say it a million times, I don't even care. Bryce is particularly closer cousins with Lucien because I'm not letting go that Ember isn't related to Helion because they look the exact
I don't know, man. You might need to let that one go. I'm not quite sure.
I'm not letting it go because in Tog, humans had magic. There were humans that had magic.
Like Dorian?
Like Dorian, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Oh my gosh, you've given me so much to think about.
I feel like she
Okay.
makes people doppelgangers for a reason. Rune and Reese, Bryce and Lucien, Ember
Well-
and Helion.
I don't know. I don't know, dude. Like,
Because why give Ember the light brownish skin like Helion? Why? Like she could have
I
just
don't
been a
know.
pale mom, and like Bryce could have just been pale.
Yeah.
But the fact that I don't know, Lucien
I
and
don't know. It still
Helion
feels like
has
such a
light.
stretch, though.
Well, Helion has the light, right? He's the
Right.
day court, whatever. He's literally connected to the Dread Trove. His symbol is on the Dread Trove, which was created by the Daglin.
I know.
So there was day court people, original day court people that went to Midgard as well.
Yeah.
Because the horn was there.
It was there. They were a part of that. Okay. All right.
So there
I'm
was
gonna make
spring
you a more
court
convincing
people?
Argument.
There was spring court people that went because of Flynn's family. There was day
Yeah.
court people that went. Has to be because of Ember. And she probably
Yeah.
just doesn't know it. I want her to take the fucking antidote to see what happens.
I know.
Because she would
Yeah.
have day court fucking magic. Because that's why Bryce has to be that strong.
Oh.
That's why Bryce has to be that strong. Because if she had the light from the day court, which was equated to the Daglin and the Trove, and then Peleus is there and Helena is there, and all that blood is in her, that's why she's the heir.
Maybe.
It makes no sense for her mom to be just a human. And why did Einar want her so much? The Autumn Court people know shit. He had to know shit about Ember.
Always. Always. They're
So
holding
that's why
secrets.
I'm like, there
Clever.
is something about fucking Ember that we haven't seen yet. She is not just human. Einar would not have been with her if she was just human.
Well, I mean, she was in the bonus chapter, right? And we know that most of all the characters in the bonus chapter end up getting a story elaborated on about them. So since Ember was brought up in Silver Flames, or Hofast, then
Yeah.
she'll in the next book, she's gonna be in there. Maybe.
I just had a
hopefully.
really unhinged thought, like really quick before we go. I'm gonna throw this out there. What
Okay.
if the cabbage babies that Ember paints are actually depictions of changelings?
Oh, I love that. Her cabbage babies. Or like, I actually love that idea that what if there is a really big significance to the cabbage babies? Maybe not changelings, but like something else, some other type of trauma.
It has
from
to
her
be changelings
childhood.
though, because if you think about it, the Fae would leave the babies like in fields and shit where they can be found.
But what if it
Among
was
like plants. Cabbage.
what if it was like the babies that I don't know.
It
I don't
just
know. I
it
have
makes
to think
so
about
much
it.
sense for them to be depictions of changelings. Because then what the fuck does Ember know?
We don't even know, so we don't know if she knows about the changelings or not. She's from Crescent City.
She's
not
sus
Akatar.
though.
Not Akatar. She doesn't
But-
know they don't do changeling shit in Crescent City.
Do they?
No, they don't.
I think Ember herself is one. That's why I think she knows about them.
I mean, she might.
I
She
think there's
might-
something in her that
That she
kind of
know, like-
remembers,
Yeah.
remembers like a fractured little memory thing, and like
Yeah.
this is the outlet.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. She makes babies.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they're cabbage babies. I don't know why. It just cracks me up.
That's the thing.
They're
The
so-
Fae leave them in like plants and shit. Like
Do
that's the
they?
lore.
Oh, okay. Cabbage babies. I didn't know.
I'm gonna be like texting you screenshots of like this lore.
Text it.